Well, now let's turn to the My Build for tonight. This is where the modelers on the show can show us what they've been building and working on. And it's hosted by Chris Course and Greg Cassidy. And before I turn it over to them, I want to run the sponsors video of Model Railroad Resource LLC, Dan Darty and Amy Darty's company.
Welcome to the world of scale, O&S railroading. We are your resource for all O&S scale modeling. Both our magazines are advertiser supported and free to read online, download as a PDF, or even print. All advertisers are hot linked to their website, so if you see something you like, just click. Please check out our websites for the current issues. All back issues available free for the O-Scale Resource and the S-Scale Resource magazines. And, if you are a manufacturer, distributor, or retail establishment, please contact us through our website for advertising opportunities.
And now let me turn this over to Chris and Greg.
All right, thanks, Jim.
Sure.
There we go. Okay. There we go. All right, here we are. Welcome to My Build, the April challenge. It's spring. Before we go on, Greg Cassidy is going to start helping out with the My Builds, and I apologize because this is. I want to make him a co-host, but I've got to figure out how we get him there in terms of how we interact, etc. So, anyway, the April challenge was spring, of course, and basically it was designed to get people to show us their scenery, their flora, vegetation, trees, something wild, things along those lines. Unfortunately, we didn't have quite the turnout that we were hoping for, but I put together a little tutorial because I figured maybe the reason why we didn't get a whole lot of assistance with this or participation with this, maybe it has something to do with maybe people are a little bit scared, so or not quite sure how to tackle scenery. So I took and put together a couple slides last night for it. So hopefully there's some simple guides that you can go by, and it'll help you out. So because what I'm looking at is as we go towards June, that is the theme on that is water. So basically whatever you've got that's water related, whether it's a boat, a bridge, a beach, a wharf scene, something along those lines. Or maybe even it's as simple as maybe an old mill that's got some water running near it or something along those lines. But anyway, so we kind of, I think what I would like to do is take a little bit of tonight and make a building block out of it. So let's see. First off, here's our nice little title screen there. And part of the gang of Nutrax modelers that got together up at L. Judy's last month. I'm your host, Chris Course, and Greg Cassidy. You out there, Greg?
Yeah, I'm here.
All righty.
I guess we'll figure out how to work me in next month when I'll be hosting in your place.
Yeah. There he is trying to take over already. All right. Okay. Actually, the first person up is Greg.
Okay.
So we've got 4 slides for tonight, Greg.
All right. This is actually a structure that I built a few years ago. It's one of the Medford train structures from our long lost friend, Jim Koshin, unfortunately. And this one's the first one that I actually attempted to make a diorama out of. My layout was already finished and I didn't have room on it for a barn. So I built a little diorama. And of course, if you're going to build a farm diorama, you have to put a lot of foliage in it. This barn was being built as it was sort of in a state of disrepair. So let's go to the next slide. So this shows the mail pouch portion of it, and I spent a lot of time on the mail pouch Facebook group finding out all about mail pouch barns, and they're fascinating. It's a fascinating group and a terrific story if you're ever interested in it. But you can see some of my attempts at foliage here. This was, as I said, quite a few years ago, and it was some of my first attempts. And the products that I was using, I learned what I liked and what I didn't like. This sort of looks like just a green mat, but it got me to what I knew I didn't like, which is sort of this green mat. The stuff that I'm using now works a little better, but I like the flowers in here. And then sort of out of the picture there is an old rusty plower that would be a cultivator that would be pulled by a tractor. Next slide. So around here, the foliage looks like it's a little overgrowing, which is what it's supposed to do, but it doesn't quite look as authentic as I desire. That little add-on on the back, I built that and I just made the little door out of siding and some strip wood. And again, you have some flowers there. You know, they could be weeds because it's not really being used anymore. Let's go to the last slide. And this is why. It's had a couple trees fall on it and water's getting in it. The door's coming off its hinges. But this really gave me my taste for wanting to do more scenery and landscaping and learn more about it. And the products that I do now and the look that I get now is much improved over this. But this was a nice starting point, and it was a lot of fun to do. So, you know, anytime, whether you're working on your layout or working on a diorama, explore the world of landscaping. There's a lot more than just static grass or grass mat or something like that. That's all.
Alrighty. Well, thanks for sharing that, Greg. Are there any questions before we move on? Alrighty. Next up is Mitch Lovelace. You up, Mitch?
Hey, buddy, I'm here.
All right, cool. Looks like, yeah, I was able to compile it down to about 11 slides.
Doc, you're on.
Sorry, every time I scroll back to it, I apparently it stops my microphone. But maybe I can watch it on the television and fix that. Okay, yeah, these pictures right here are of a 3D printed townhouse that I got from an online retailer out of Detroit, actually, and I really like the look of them. And basically, even though I don't have much for spring themed stuff this time, I just wanted to show everybody what I was working on. And the artistic value of these will basically be the paint work that I'm going to do. I'm going to try to make all of them a little bit different than the next, and then create a diorama around it. It's either going to end up being a standalone diorama or it is going to be part of the major layout. You can go to the next slide, buddy.
Okay. Yeah, it's on the first set of skyscraper.
Gotcha. Yeah, this is another one that I bought from the same retailer. And this is check my notes. This is the book tower in Detroit. This is about 30 inches tall, believe it or not, even in N scale. It is, let's see, I had some notes on this and I thought that I was prepared. Well, either way, basically this is going to be the same type of effect. I'm I did not build this. It was 3D printed for me, but I am going to try my best to do interiors and the majority of it, as well as light, the structure. And it's going to be another one of those where it could end up being a standalone diorama. It could be put on a friend's layout, or it could end up being part of mine. But I just thought the 3D work on this was absolutely exceptional, and I couldn't wait to get my hands on it and put my artistic value to it. But you can go to the next one.
All right.
Doc, is that one piece?
No, Jim, it's not. As the pictures progress, you'll see that it's cut. I think it's about 5-story sections. Some sections are a little bit taller than the other. And if you look closely, you can kind of see that that separation, but you'll see it later for sure. And then I just took a close-up picture of the top here, which is going to have that, that basic copper green tint to it that I think is going to look really nicely once it's all weathered up.
Yep.
All right, buddy, you can go to the next one.
Yep.
Okay, now this, to be honest, I was really hesitant to put this on my build. This is a 3D printed structure, or it's 9 structures altogether, but from a Chinese manufacturer. And what I'm doing with them, the original structure, I believe, was only 7 or 8 stories tall. So I doubled each wall of each structure, and I'm going to then stack those on top of each other to make a quadruple height apartment building. And when the pictures continue, you'll see exactly what I'm modeling. I'm trying to represent the LaGuardia houses in Upper Manhattan of New York. They look very much like if you were to put 3 of these different kits together and then, of course, stack them on top of each other to where they're 30, 40 stories tall. But they were very reminiscent of that design. And then the paint work that I did on here was just acrylics, and I did the entire every single wall I did with a sponge, so that I got different color variations. And because these don't have very much relief or detail whatsoever on the facade, you sort of have to mimic that, create that with paint, so that from a couple feet away it does appear to be brick, and that's about the best I can do with these. And I also have styrene behind each and every single window on these, and that took about 4 days to do that. But you can go to the next one. Yeah, you can, I guess, just kind of blow through these. I was kind of just showing, all the different parts that come with these 3 different types of kits, and 9 kits altogether. And yeah, this I wanted to show. This is actually a separate kit, not the type that was modeled with these LaGuardia houses, but I wanted to show exactly what I did. There's ribbing. I don't know if that's the correct word, but there's notches, as you can see, above each floor. And those little holes that you see in the building going all the way up the facade, those actually are going to have to be filled in, because that's kind of how easy these are. They're made for a 5-year-old. They just piece together. So all that has to be corrected. But as you can see, this is one where I messed up on. So if you can see on the picture on the right, where I cut right at that rib, but I accidentally took some of the window frame out, that's why this one was just a throwaway. But I had this picture still where I could show exactly what my process was, where I cut it and then stacked them on top of each other and made them flush. So you can go to the next one. And yeah, this is just a picture on the left of what it would look like if that was flush. And then on the right is just an example of how I do have every window already glassed over. You can go to the next one. All right, Jim, now I think this is what you were asking. This shows the 5 pieces, I believe it is altogether, of that book tower in Detroit.
Mhm.
And I actually have an extra top, just because I figured I am probably going to mess that paint job up the first time around. But, and then on the left side, those are, well, on the right picture, in front of the book tower pieces, you see something that looks like it has balconies, a facade. On the left is the floors that go into each building floor. So that way you can interior it and you can put lights in it and figures on each balcony and really detail it up if you spend enough time on it. I think it could end up looking pretty good, but you can go to the next one if there is one. Yeah, this is just this is where I'm at now with the 3Ds. I've just hit it with the two times Rust-Oleum clear coat, and it's off to paint next. And behind that is just a bunch of that homemade ballast that I make that I have about 6 different shades of at this point. It's pretty good for HO scale. It's a little big for N scale, but it's actually what I used on last October's my build. I think if you remember, there was a abandoned lot and there was a guy being buried in the back. All the rocks, yeah, all the rocks and piles of rocks and anything like that you see that's debris was made out of this ballast that I kind of fooled around with and made. And I think that's probably it for the night, guys. Thanks.
Actually, I think you've got a couple more in here.
Oh yeah. Okay, so this is an example of one of the kits that's going to be the L-shaped, and then the on each wing is going to be those balcony buildings. So on the right, you see what the kit is if you buy it, and then on the left of that right picture is what happens when I doubled it. And then on the left picture is kind of the direction I'm going, a very, very urban environment. I made those staircases out of a walkover kit that I just chopped up into pieces. And then on the left of that, there's a handicap ramp that I scratch built out of mat board, as well as the retaining walls were scratch built out of mat board. So this is the direction I'm going. Extremely urban, rundown kind of little area here. If there's any more, let me know.
Yep. This next one's the last one.
Okay, so this is this is my reference picture. This is the LaGuardia houses in Manhattan. I believe it's on the East River, actually. But this is exactly what I'm modeling. This look, this color, even the grounds I'm going to try to do as best I can to mimic that. And now you can see why I sponged everything, because at a distance, I mean, it really does just look like a myriad of colors. I mean, there's really no, set color to this brick pattern whatsoever. I don't know if it's weathering or what happened, but I mean, every picture I've looked at, it just looks like every 3 or 4 floors, there's just some crazy variation in color. So, yeah, that's what I'm modeling. And by the end of this, I don't know, it might be a year or 2, but we'll get there. I'll share that.
Yeah. I wonder if that's pollution on there.
Well, I mean, I really don't know, because it seems to be dedicated to certain floors. You'll see, and it's on the facade. It's very strange.
Yeah,
I don't
and
know if they
possibly.
maybe attempted to wash it at one point or what, but whatever caused it is beautiful to me.
Yeah, or maybe, well, I would also suspect maybe it was some brickwork, but there's too much of it to be all that, I would think.
Yeah, I mean, possibly repair work, but yeah, like you said, I mean, it's just odd how it is. But I mean, every building in the complex has that that telltale sign on the facade, and so I'm it's a difficult thing to try to mimic, but I'm trying.
Yeah. Well, it's very, very unique, very interesting project. So please keep us up to speed on that. Yeah, I know a lot of us are very interested in seeing how it turns out.
All right, will do, guys. Thank y'all.
Great
All right,
job,
is it-
Doc.
Does
Sorry. it
anybody
wasn't
have any questions for
screen.
Doc? Alrighty, well,
job.
thanks. Thanks, Doc. We'll move on. And Alan, you up, Alan? You were a few minutes ago. There you
I'm
are.
still with you.
All
And
right.
before you run that video, let me just kind of explain if I may. So what you're going to see is a diorama that I made. And the title of the diorama is The Swamp or the Bayou. Haven't really decided yet. But dimensionally, just so you know what you're looking at, the diorama is 24 inches wide, 18 inches deep, and 18 inches high for the backdrop. The tree, which ties into your floral theme this month, is actually made from some dead sagebrush branches that I collected out in the country across from the old SP line at Bina. And I added some Spanish moss out of my greenhouse and added some fake greenery from Michael's. And then when you see the video, the two little flickering kerosene lamps are 3D prints that I did. And then inserted some flickering LEDs from Evans Designs. So if you want to roll the video, it's all yours, Chris.
All right. Now let's hope this works. All right. Looks like it did. Oh, it's not showing. It's not showing for you guys, is it?
I've
Click
got
it
it
again,
on
see
my,
what happens.
I've got it on my computer if you need me to run it from this end.
Yeah, why don't we do that? Because I clicked on it. It's working on the it's working
not
on the
coming.
computer that I'm using to run the slideshow with, but it's not showing through.
Okay, let me see. Oh, you know what? You have to quit sharing your screen for me to share it though.
All right, let's do this. Okay, there we go.
Okay, so let me go ahead and share my screen here and we'll just see if this works. Okay.
Yeah, I love those lanterns, the way they kind of flicker a little bit.
Incidentally, I used Aleene's tacky glue for the water, just the clear version, and I just did several layers. Came out pretty good, I thought.
Well, one of the things that I think is kind of neat, and I pretty much guarantee you didn't do it on purpose, is that little there's a little speck of light that runs around, and to me it kind of reminds me of like fireflies or something.
Well, you know, I thought about trying to come up with some fireflies, and maybe that's something I can do in the future. That'd be really cool, though. I'll go ahead and roll this again because it's not very long.
Yep. But you see it, it's approaching the middle of the screen.
Yeah, it might have just been an artifact from my phone. That's probably all it was.
That
Yeah,
looks
I
like
think
lens flare.
I think it added a neat little dimension to it.
Little music wouldn't hurt either.
Yeah, little bayou twanging. Yeah.
Well, you know, to be perfectly honest, now I can go to Disneyland without spending $700 a night for a hotel room. How's that?
There you go.
Sounds great.
Thank you so much.
All right. Yeah, thanks for sharing. It's a neat diorama. So anybody have any questions for Alan? All right. Well, thanks again, Alan. And let's see, let's go back to this share screen here.
Hey, Chris and Alan, John Garrity.
Yeah.
Just an off-the-wall suggestion, some disguised fibre optics with a flickering LED planted somewhere under or disguised.
That's a
Okay.
good idea. Thank you, John. I'll try that.
No worries. Out and gone. I'm back to lurk mode.
Alrighty. Well, thanks. All right. DS Yates, are you up?
I'm here.
Alrighty. It looks like you've got 8 slides. So here we go.
I'm supposed to talk about it, I guess, huh? It's,
Yes, please. Add some
Okay.
context if you could.
It is kind of a springtime setting that I did. There's this scenery that I've done for this layout. I used more natural material than I've ever used in my life. And, we have a couple acres and I think everything was taken by walking around the property and seeing something. A lot of twigs, of course, as you can see there. The underlying thing, the underlying base is dirt, which was finely sifted, not to George Sellios level of where you breathe on it and it goes away, but it's the best I could do. The interesting part is that this layout is built in an addition, and the very dirt that was used in the excavation is the dirt that I used on the layout. So it hasn't gone too far.
Oh, that's cool.
Um, there are super
Did
trees.
you treat it
on
with
this
any,
I'm sorry.
did you treat the trees or the dirt or anything with any kind of substance before you used it, or did you just?
I I can't quite hear you. Um,
He's asking if you did anything special to the dirt before you used it.
oh well, I dried it for quite a while. Yeah, on a dark tray on my driveway, and then sifted it. I guess I sifted it about 5 times, but I didn't bake it and various other things that I have read to do. It seems to be clean enough.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it's great. Thank you.
The rock work.
The plaster castings,
Mhm. Yes,
those
that's what he was asking about.
those those are actually about 30 some years old, and they've been on about 3 layouts. They are well, they're a commercial one, maybe Woodland Scenics. Um, and then they were stained 5 or 6 times with, real light washes and the India ink for the crevices and whatnot.
Cool. Whose trees are those? Or is that something
The bulk of the trees are super trees. It was my first try with those, and I very much liked them. It's better than most anything I've used in the past. There's some in the background that are uh, well, some of them are there's a Woodland Scenics topping type tree, and then a lot of it was just busted up foliage and things that I spread where it meets the wall.
Yeah.
I think it looks great.
Yeah. Yeah. It's if you're using natural stuff, it's gonna look great, provided it looks to scale.
Yeah, that's the problem. Like the one twig there in the left picture is probably a little bit out of scale, but I liked it so much I used it. The funny part with the rocks spewing down, falling down like that, I had them in a pile, maybe in a small cup at the top of it when I was building uh, this scene, and they spilled. And the way they fell down, I just told myself, don't do a thing. Don't adjust it. Put some alcohol, missed some alcohol and then matte medium because that would have it. I don't think I could have done better. It's just the way they fell was a natural gravity.
Yeah, you can't beat nature at its own game.
I might as, I mean, I need all the help I can get, and I figure start with nature if you're trying to model nature.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
to give a little bit of sneak peek ahead is that's one of the that's one of my tips is you know it's make it simple. Just do things simple. Let them happen.
On the picture on the right, I had said to Chris that the yellow shrub there, some of you may not know, it's a forsythia. We have a couple on the property here. One of them is about the size of a small SUV. And it's a sure sign of spring in eastern Pennsylvania when they come out. And they don't, they're already past their peak. And I thought, what could I put there? It's the railroad I is a Imagineered one. It's York Central, and it doesn't have a lot of extra money for landscaping type things, but I figure a forsythia, they can plant that, and it doesn't need much maintenance. The other thing I noticed with that picture on the right is a picture really isolates the problems, because your eye can focus on it. And I noticed the holes in where the track nails would go. And I already have some Vallejo plastic putty filling those holes. And the guy, the seated passenger with that insanely bright blue suit coat, he's been changed. He's in kind of a brown tweed now or something. So I didn't realize it, and I'm going to use this principle again and to just take pictures of the layout and then study the pictures, and you can see a number of flaws with it that way. And then the grass type, it's not exactly a manicured lawn, but it's got some grass. It actually is probably around a 3 or 4 millimeter static grass, but I made that in kind of a just early growth, springtime type of growth.
Yeah, it actually looks very very nice. I get what you did. It looks pretty sharp.
I think so too.
That's the other side of
That's
the
good.
layout. I'm sorry.
That's really creative the way that you've done this. Because the more I look at the picture on the left where you dropped the rocks and just left them where they are, I agree with you. That just looks fantastic.
Thanks. Once again, speaking of the pictures, I had seen this and I thought to myself, you've got a completely unweathered Lackawanna coal car under that 45-year-old plastic model that I built. But some of these, I'm big
Maybe it's
on
brand new.
recycling. But so again, there's an idea that I've been doing a whole series of weathering and everything, and currently, and that's one that just is crying out, a coal car of all things, to get that done. But and that was my first use of a photo backdrop, which I didn't do the side. It had already been stretched out 11.5 feet, which is the length of the long part of the layout. It is N scale. That's all the room I have. Um,
John Garrity, again, you can justify that fresh car as a first run out of the workshop after an overhaul.
uh, And again, a lot of that is there's a lot of that is just natural material. It's a blend, you know. There is some the Heckai wild grass. I really am a fan of that, and it goes right in. It's so you know, you can just tear it and get it to fit where you want it to be. Um, this was a mountain that was never going to be this uh, to be in this corner, but the backdrop had the trees that you can see on the side. They were so out of scale that I would get treetops way high. So I built the end of that a little bit higher than I would have liked. But then there's one or two of those that I did try hand carving the stones, and I never had done that before. And that's one of the next things I want to do if there's another layout is to uh im- learn a little bit more about hand carving so that I don't use just commercial products on that. That's this has got a lot more work that I need to do on it in terms of I have a lot of I even have the fishermen, a bunch of fathers and sons, and a lot of a whole set of a guy hooking a fish, and I want to get that in my creek, near the creek bed, and the picnic tables there. I want to, populate, and the walking trail. Um, this is another layout I just that I just felt like doing a lot of things that I always wanted to do. On the right hand side, actually both ends of the creek end in a culvert. That's kind of the way it's a way to do it. But if you can see the water keeps going, and there is a mirror installed at the end of both culverts, and it does reflect back. So rather than just go to blackness,
Oh, nice.
I was real happy about that. I ended up getting I tried to buy like woman's compacts and various other things, and I finally ended up measuring it, and I went and got custom mirrors at a glass place for the exact size I needed, and I put them back there. But I had a lot of fun doing that. The whole thing has been a lot of fun. I started this right when there was the COVID lockdown. And of course, I wouldn't wish that to have happened. But I thought to myself, if there's any a time, and I had all my materials, and I was chomping at the bit to do this, and I thought, well, if there's any time to have a lockdown where I can't go anywhere, now is the time. So, um,
Yeah, I really like how you put that mirror in there. I mean, you can't tell.
yeah, I was
No,
pleased. I
sure can.
really was. I thought I'm going to do this. And when I look at it, I'm going to just see my own reflection and everything. But I worked on it, and both ends are like that. It goes. You don't see yourself. You see the extension of the creek.
Yeah. Yep, there's another culvert shot.
Very nice.
Mm-hmm. The I don't always like to buy stuff that's pre-made, but the ice cream truck with it brought back such memories that when I saw that, I said, I gotta have it. And there's the two kids on the left that are on a bike and a skateboard getting to the ice cream frankly reminded me of myself that that's exactly what I do, is follow the guy or whatever and make sure to get some.
All right, looks like this is the last photo or last slide.
You know, again, I just really got to enjoy all the dead wood. It's amazing how much dead wood there is wherever you look, at least in Pennsylvania. I mean, it's my only frame of reference. But you know, when the trees die, they really don't have anywhere to go, and they stay there and slowly lose their branches and different things. A lot of those are all natural. I did weather them with mostly powders, gray powders. Uh, and I want to do more coming out of the backdrop along the front there, just having where it meets the layout. I have on some of the other parts of the layout, I have some more of a 3D type of effect.
Yeah, this is fantastic.
No, thanks.
Alrighty. Are there any questions?
Yes, I have one question.
Sure.
Did you use epoxy in the creek, poured epoxy?
Uh, yes, I used one. I've always used resins, you know, the resin epoxy, the two-part. This was a different product that didn't quite have as much smell. It's no longer made. As a matter of fact, it was a single person that made it, and the gentleman passed away. It's a good product, but I mean, I would on the next layout, I probably would put up with the stink, and I'd go back to one of the more common epoxies.
Did they call that easy water? Or is that the one you're trying to take off?
No, I tried that once. I didn't really like it.
No.
Magic water.
Magic water.
Yes, that's it.
Yes.
That's it.
You're welcome.
Okay. Thanks, Tom.
And then on top of that, I put some of the motion type, wave type stuff or whatever, that Woodland Scenics, does sell. I put that on top of it about a year after I had done that. I wanted to get more more ripples. I wasn't really satisfied with that effect too much. But it was a first attempt.
You could use Mod Podge to make the ripple.
Yeah, I've been a big user of Mod Podge in a number of places, and diluted with, you know, it makes a great glue. It doesn't have the sheen. Very big fan of it.
I had two quick questions, real quick. First, I missed what scale this is, and secondly, you mentioned the holes in the ties that you were going to have to fill with the type of putty. That's the same problem I'm going to have with those tall structures. What type of filler do you suggest that will hold the test of time and can be painted over and things of that nature, that isn't, you know, just going to poke out if you accidentally hit it on something?
Well, it's end scale. As to the putty, it's Vallejo plastic putty. I really like the stuff. One thing I like about it is the nozzle that it the tube that it's in. It's a tiny, tiny nozzle. So instead of getting a big gob of stuff or having to put it on the side and then apply it yourself, like for that N scale hole, I just put the tube at the end of it and lightly squeezed and then smoothed it out. But I've used the stuff on buildings and everything else, and I like it too because if you open it and use a little bit and seal it up, unlike a lot of other putties and things like that, where it just, no matter what you do, it hardens. This still stays pliable. The one I'm currently using I've had it a year. I'm on my second or third tube. I really do like this stuff, and it's acrylic, so it'll clean up with water. And most of the Vallejo stuff is very very low on VOCs and whatnot. It's I like the stuff.
All right, thank you. I'll look it up.
Mhm.
Can you say the name again?
Vallejo.
Vallejo plastic putty. It is about $4 for not a whole lot. It's a small tube, but I don't know. A little goes a long way, and I just like the product more than the other stuff, that just because of the nozzle, if nothing else.
Thank you.
And it hasn't cracked or anything. So some of what I've used for a couple of years now, it doesn't shrink. It hasn't cracked or anything else.
Okay. Are there any more
Yeah.
questions?
I just ordered it.
There you go.
Oh, there you go.
We're
I-
selling products. We need
I expect a commission out of this.
that's right.
Excellent.
Nutrac's commission to fund the scholarship fund.
You got
Okay.
it, buddy. You got it.
All right. Any more questions before we move on? Alrighty. Oh, I'm up next. Okay. Okay, so I figured what I would do is start out showing you some of the dioramas that I've done, because I do a lot of mini dioramas for Conowingo models, and because I found that it helps to sell the product better. So the photo on the left, the Bush's Mill, what you're really seeing there is some of that Woodland Scenics realistic water that I put down. And let me start out by saying what I do whenever I do a diorama is I always spray paint it brown first, and then I put down a layer of glue, and then put some real dirt on there and let it dry. And then once that's happened, then I start to do other layers. That way, if you have dirt that shows through your grass, then that's realistic. That's what you're going to see. But the photo on the left was my first go round with static grass, and realistic water from Woodland Scenics. Those are, of course, real pebbles that I actually got from the local stream. I tried to line it a little bit, and that's the result there. The photo on the right is the St. Mary's Gate Lighthouse, and what I was trying to do there was come up with more of a what do you call it, the grass that grows out on beaches. I don't know if that's called seagrass or what that is, but that one, it kind of, I wasn't all that happy with the way it came out, but one of the things I figured out, and I'll share it here in a minute, is how you kind of overcome, or how you deal with that. So on the left there is the Panther Company house that I did, and this actually, Greg had turned me on to Martin Welberg scenery, and so I bought a bunch of it last year at Springfield, and I decided to try it. And a little bit goes a long way. What you're seeing on the left there is the usual complement of spray paint with dirt over the top, and then a little bit of a very little bit of static grass, because where this company house was, it looked like it was pretty scrappy around there. There wasn't a whole lot of grass. There was no landscaping, a bunch of weeds and things like that. And I probably spent about a whole 10 minutes on this. And you see the tufts in the foreground there, and then you see the weeds around the edges. One thing you can do, a big hint, is I kind of screwed up the edges of the front of the porch there, where they meet the ground. Cover it up with static with this weed product. On the right, I did spend a little more time because that's actually a scene that I put together. It does use the Woodland Scenics realistic water in it again. That's a real twig in the front there that the debris boat is getting ready to scoop up. And there is a product, super fall leaves, I think it's called. I think it's a Scenic Express thing. But that's what you're seeing along the edges, in addition to the Martin Welberg scenery. I think there might be a few more shots of it here in a minute. Yep, there you go. And this actually this picture was heavily doctored by my brother using AI. So there's things that really are out of place. Like if you notice, there's an extra layer of rock up on top. But this probably took an hour to do. Just taking and pulling those little tufts off of that, off of the little plate. I'll call them plates, but the little plastic trays, I guess, that the woodland that the Martin Welberg scenery comes on. It's just a matter of pulling it off and putting it in the right place. And really, a lot of this stuff, you'll pull a piece off and go, oh, well, that's not where I intended, but it ends up being a different size or shape. And so you just have to find a new home for it. You had one place in mind, it didn't work, so you put it somewhere else. So let it kind of tell you where it wants to go. Once you get into it, you'll kind of see what I'm talking about. But another point, and I'll make that point with this tree on the left, is part of doing good scenery is having the right products, having products you're happy with. The tree on the left there is from Moose Creek, and they are I think they're on like Pinterest or Etsy or somewhere, and you can also get them off of eBay. So that's where that tree came from. If you look closely enough at it, you'll notice that it's got wood-looking fibers sticking out of it. And I think it looks a lot more realistic than the bottle brush tree behind it. If you'll notice, there's some static grass there, which I wasn't all that happy with how it came out. And I'll get to that in a minute. But, here's a little bit more weeds that I just took and put around the foundation to kind of build it up. And in doing so, it gives that house or that little cottage a more of a sense of belonging, in that it wasn't just plopped there. It's been there for a while, and now these weeds are growing up around it. And you'll notice that there's a little bit of flowers that I put out front just because I was trying to find a way to spice it up a little bit. This here, I actually, this is one of the first forays into, I bought a new static grass applicator. I use the one from Woodland Scenics now, because I found out what's going on. If you look at this photo, you see how the grass is all kind of leaning a little bit. It's not really straight up and down like it probably should be. I knew that going into this diorama that it was going to be that way, and that was sort of the effect I was going for. But if you notice on this one, it's sticking straight up. In fact, there's actually, I don't think I put them in the slideshow. There's actually more pictures, and it actually looks like, it blends into the scenery in the background there. But this, I did this in about 5 minutes. You'll notice that, there's some flowers on here. Those are Martin Wellberg, products. I threw a little bit of the weeds in there, some of the grass tufts. You can see them sticking up between the railroad tracks there. But really, it's about simplicity. And you see everything here. I actually didn't use the mat that's all the way in the back. I didn't realize that that's actually a mat. So I've got to find a different way to use that. But I bought these products. You could see they're what, 12 bucks a piece. And for all the dioramas I've done, still got a ton of the stuff left. So I don't think 12 bucks is all that unreasonable for what you're going to get and how far you're going to push it. So that's the big thing, or a big key, like I said, is finding the right products that you like, and I think Scenic Express is, and maybe one or two other places are the places that you can buy Martin Wellberg stuff from. But that's a huge key, is finding stuff that you like and that you can work with. You just pull this stuff off these little plastic sheets, put a little glue on it, and drop it into place. I'll show you here. I actually did this one 2 nights ago. You can see, because this is one thing I found out is that the realistic water, it doesn't permanently hold its shape. Because if you've seen that diorama in person with the debris boat on it, the debris boat actually leaves a mark in the water, where this is actually Mod Podge, and Mod Podge dries up hard. You don't quite get the same effect. One thing that I didn't have the opportunity to do on this one was I didn't spread it around that well. Because I was just trying to make a point with it. But one thing you can do is, I did some reading on it, and if you grab a straw, you can make little like water movement effects with it. Just gently blow on it, and at first you're gonna be like, oh, that looks good, and then you'll blow again and be like, oh, that stinks, and then you just have to work with it. You've got working time with the Mod Podge. You see in the lower right corner there where it's still a little bit wet. It's got that cloudy look to it. But basically what you do with this one is, I painted the whole thing, the whole base a green color. And then what I actually did, you see that there's little bits of sand around there. And actually those are another product I grabbed from the creek across the street here. And I've had a little container of it for probably 10 years now. Actually, it's got to be longer than that, more like 11 or 12. And I put a little bit of glue down against the foundation there and dropped this stuff into place, and then just kind of shook it around a little bit till it settled to where it wanted to be, let it dry, and then I moved on from there. The next scene here, you're going to see where I pulled out the weeds and I started to do some applications. You see on the right side there, I wasn't quite sure what to do with that, because I wanted it basically to be kind of an area where like your sediment settles and you end up with a bunch of weeds and crap back there that you normally wouldn't put up with. And then I just had an extra little bit left from pulling this piece on the right out. So you see it on the left, and I glued that into place. There's some tufts along with, I decided I'm kind of into adding a little bit of flowers. So, those could be dandelions or whatever. So you kind of pull those little tufts apart, put a little bit of glue behind them, drop them into place, and they'll all find a home. And what I've found is that if you kind of put them up again, you put them up against the wall, then makes that building look like it's been there for quite some time, and it wasn't just plopped there. You see that with the wall there as well. And then that's kind of more of a finished product ish, because I still have to finish up the wall itself where the raceway goes where the race goes through the wall from the dam. But this probably took me 30 minutes to do, if that. Actually, it couldn't have taken me 30 minutes, because I think I did this one and the trolley shelter in about 30 minutes. So it's, keep it simple. Let as you pull off these tufts, let them tell you where they want to go. You'll figure it out. It's not hard. It just takes a little bit of just kind of open up your mind a little bit, and it will tell you where it wants to go. And then I shot these yesterday outside. You can see there it's all dry, and it to me it looks like it's supposed to be there. So, because this was actually a kit that I had I released a while ago. It's actually a John Allen tribute kit. He had an old mill that he had put on, I think it's called Phillips Lake, and so I decided to kind of update the design a little bit and put it out there. Didn't sell very well, so I took it off the market. But I did learn a lot from it, particularly when it comes to building the water wheel there. And I actually used that to expand some other products. Like I think the Pennsbury hydroelectric mill, the water wheel on that actually, how I finished it came from this kit. Because I duplicated what John Allen did as closely as I could, of course, using modern techniques. And really, that's about it. All right. So now we have our challenge giveaway. Is Phil Edholm up?
He's not. He's at the convention.
Oh, that's right. Okay. Do we have any way of doing that poll?
Not with Phil, not here that I know of, no.
I cannot do it.
Okay, because I think that's an admin function, isn't it?
I
It
think
is.
so. Yeah, and Phil knows how to do it, but no one else does as far as I know.
Okay. So how do we want to handle that? Do we want to just
Do it next week.
Why do we
Yeah.
do it let's just do it next week.
all right,
Because
I'll put together a small slideshow of kind of a recap, and then everybody can vote from there.
Getting
That
back
sounds
to your
good.
model, Chris.
I'm sorry?
Getting back to your model. Did you make those wood shingles?
Those are actually from Railscale.
Okay. They look good.
Yep. Yeah, they do. That's why I buy them. In fact, they're originally a Rusty Stumps product. And when he sold out to Steve, I went to Steve. I said, Steve, I need those shingles. And he was like, I don't have them. So I went back to Walt and I said, Walt, he said he doesn't have them. He's like, he does. Tell him they're here. I'm like, okay. So I got Steve to produce some wood shingles, and I like them enough that I put them in any kit that I deem appropriate.
Looks good.
Yes.
And the
Yeah,
corrugated
they're
metal,
great.
did you make that?
What's that?
That corrugated metal?
That corrugated metal is from Northeastern.
Okay.
I know that there were some supply issues with that after I discontinued this kit, but in fact, I do have a supply of them, a little small supply. So I ended up bringing this kit back just to see what had happened, because I brought back Bush's Mill, and it's selling pretty decently. So I was hoping maybe this kit would kick off a little bit better.
Chris, did you just use Dull Coat to get the frosty look on the windows, or something else?
Yes, I just used Dull Coat.
It really
That's
works
the thing.
well with that building.
Yeah, that's the thing is it's like, how do you, you can't really put window treatments in this thing. So, you could use dull coat. I've also heard people use, Scotch tape in there.
Yeah.
Or you could paint them. I don't really like painting. I know when you see, aircraft on a stick and they painted the inside of the windscreen, I'm like, no, that's just not cool.
What would you do
uh,
for water coming down
oh,
off the
there is no,
trough?
I didn't put any water coming off of this one.
What would you do if you did?
I don't know. I've never really experimented with that. I know I've got a waterfall kit of some sort that I could probably use for it, but I would probably start out. Yeah, keep in mind that this stuff travels, so it's got to be hard. So I can't really use realistic water on this. So maybe hodgepodge or Mod Podge for the raceway, and I'm not quite sure how I would put it coming off of the
Could I
raceway.
make a recommendation?
Sure.
Use the, what do you call it, the plastic sheets that you use for your windows,
Oh
and
yeah,
cut it in
acetate.
strips, and then put silicone on it, and with a tube of silicone, clear silicone. And in the back of the plastics, you paint it with a crayon blue, and it really looks good when it's done.
Oh yeah.
That
You
is
just add all the
exactly-
strips together, and it looks like water falling.
That's almost
Yeah.
exactly what I did for that waterfall that I built last year.
Yeah.
Almost exactly. I just cut strips of clear plastic and then, put the material on top and then dry brushed it to, with white to kind of look like
Yeah.
rapids, I suppose. But yeah, that's the exact process I used and it came out great.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, maybe I'll have to add that. Alrighty. Does anybody have any questions?
Chris, this is Jeff Jordan. Let me pass along a tip
Sure.
I was given by a professional layout builder. It concerns the Woodland Scenics static grass applicator. Woodland Scenics sells it, of course, that it's battery powered, and then sells as an option an external plug-in power supply. And he told me always use the external power supply. Woodland Scenics doesn't tell you this, but that you get like 4 times the voltage if you use the plug-in rather than the batteries. And so you get a much better result on the static and standing up the grass.
Yeah, that is one thing I did notice is when I went to the Woodland Scenics, unfortunately I went a little bit cheap in that I didn't buy the AC adapter for it. And so I ended up using a 9-volt, and even then I found it worked fine. But yeah, I get what you're saying in that you want that stuff to stick up. So
yeah, this guy does whole layouts and he applies a lot of the static grass, and he highly recommended using the power supply.
Also, remember, if you have a pacemaker, be very careful.
Oh, yeah. Even with the old full ice water thing, man. Whew. Hello.
I have electric cattle fence, so I know to respect high voltage, low amperage electricity.
Yeah. Also, while I thought about it, I want to put in a plug for the Great Scale Model Train Show. I know Jim plugged it earlier, but we'll be there this weekend. Jack had originally planned on going. I'm not sure he is. Jack, are you still up?
I am still up. I will not be there, Chris.
All right. Well, I owe you a set of trucks anyway.
Okay.
But yes, we were having the Craftsman Courtyard. So it'll be myself, Motrack, Mud Creek, and Rail Scale.
Will you be at Al Judy's June show?
Yes, we will be at at Al Judy's show.
I'll see you
That'll
there
be the
in
end of the
June.
marathon 2-week-long work thing. So
Okay.
that'll be
I'll
fun.
see you there.
Yes, indeed. All right. Okay, the next My Build is May 22nd, and it is featuring you. It's a free-for-all. I won't be around for it, but email me your photos, and I will go ahead and put the slideshow together and hand it over to Greg. Sorry, Greg, I think I hogged everything tonight. So, like I said, we got to work on figuring out how to make you co-host.
We'll
was
work
it-
on that this weekend.
Yeah, we'll talk about that this weekend. So anyway, please come out to the Great Scale Model Train Show in Timonium, Maryland, if you're around. And looks like Saturday is your best day because it'll be like 55 and cloudy. So it'll be a good show.
Yeah, and another plug for the Great Scale Model Train Show. Steve Sherrill and myself will be there with the New Tracks Modeling Scholarship tables. So if you do come to the show, stop by.
Yes, we'll do. Let's see. The My Build challenges, the next challenge is June. Like I mentioned before, it's water. We talked a bunch tonight about what you can use for water if you haven't done that before. Please just just get a wild hair and do something. If you're not really doing anything. We're looking for something water related. It could be waterfront buildings, wharves, boats, covered bridges, water tanks, anything water related, a beach. You know what I'm talking. What's the word I'm looking for here? Be careful what you put on your beach. Let's put it that way. Because I know there's a lot of scantily
Sensitive
or
people.
non-clad characters that you can put on your beach. So please don't do that. Those are the sorts of things that we're after because June is a time when everybody gets out and does water related activities. So whatever you can come up with for that, please email your photos to me. We really want to see these challengers take off. I hope that what we're able to do with this spring scenery kind of gives you guys some ideas and helps you to rise to the challenge. So please take a look at those and see what you can do. You can email those photos to me, railrunner130@hotmail.com. I'll take, heck, if you even have stuff for August, I'll take that too. I don't care. Just send me your photos and I've got albums or folders. I can put them all in. So when that challenge comes up, it's plug and play. So don't feel like you rush to do anything. But please do something. Please send us your photos. That's it. Looks like we've reached the end of the internet.
All right, you did a great job tonight. Thank you so much, and thank you for everybody that showed their models for us. I think we saw some great modeling, and that's what this segment is all about. So thank you so much for everybody, and Chris, Greg, thank you so much for the presentations.